I remember the moment like it just happened. My name is Lindsay. I am 32 years old, and honestly, I still do not really know what I was thinking. I was sitting in the kitchen, talking with my sister Danny. It felt like a normal casual conversation, just two sisters chatting and venting. I was tired, a little annoyed with life, and I started saying things I probably should have kept in my head. You know when you talk too much because you feel safe, and later you realize you should have stayed quiet? That was exactly what happened. I do not think I planned for my husband Derek to hear what I said. But if I'm really honest with myself, maybe deep down I did not care enough to lower my voice either. I wanted to let my frustration out. I wanted Danny to listen, to agree, to comfort me. So I let the words spill out. I told her that if I had to do it all over again, I would not date Derek now. I said it in a light, careless way, like I was talking about a pair of shoes I would not buy again, or a haircut I regretted. I did not talk like I was describing my husband, the man I married, the person I promised to stay with for the rest of my life. I acted like it was nothing. I do not even fully know why I said it. Maybe I was bored with my life and wanted some drama. Maybe I wanted Danny to feel sorry for me. Maybe I wanted to feel like I had made some huge sacrifice by marrying him. The truth is, Derek was not doing anything wrong at that moment. He was in the other room, probably sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone like he usually did after a long day at work. He was just relaxing, minding his own business. But the words came out of my mouth anyway. And then, everything changed. At first I did not notice anything. Danny just looked at me with that face she makes when I say something dramatic. She is used to my big emotions and my strong opinions. She did not respond right away. But there was a different kind of silence in the room. It felt heavy, like the air shifted. I turned my head slightly, and that is when I saw him. Derek was standing in the doorway. He did not shout. He did not ask me what I meant. He did not even look like he was angry. His face was calm, almost blank, but the look in his eyes was something I had never seen before. He stared at me for a second, like he was trying to understand if he had really heard what I said. Then he turned and walked away. A few seconds later, I heard the front door close. My stomach dropped. I felt a wave of worry and shock, but I pushed it away quickly. I was not expecting him to leave. I thought he would come into the kitchen and say something, or argue with me, or at least tell me how much I had hurt him. Derek usually handled things quietly. He was always the calm one in our relationship, the patient one. The one who balanced my chaos and my big reactions. I did not think he would just walk out. That did not feel like him at all. For a moment, Danny and I just looked at each other. Her eyes were huge, and she looked more shocked than I felt. I could tell she knew I had crossed a line. But instead of admitting that, I laughed it off. I said something like, "Oh, he will be fine, he is just being dramatic." I do not even know why I said that. Maybe because it was easier to act like it was no big deal than to face what I had really done. If I admitted I had messed up, I would have to deal with the guilt. And in that moment, I did not want to. An hour went by. He did not come back. I called him once. He did not answer. I sent him a text. "You okay?" No reply. Fine, I thought. If he wants to sulk, that is his choice. I told myself he was overreacting. I told myself it was not that serious. People complain about their partners to their siblings all the time. That is normal, right? I said to myself that it was just venting, and if he happened to hear, that was not my fault. But as the evening went on, my emotions started to twist into something else. At first I felt annoyed that he did not come home. Then I began to feel a little scared. I started asking myself where he was, and why he was staying away this long. Was he trying to teach me a lesson? Was he just driving around? Was he sitting somewhere, thinking about leaving me for real? I stayed up late that night, watching videos on my phone and pretending I was fine. But every time a car passed outside or I heard a noise, my heart jumped a little. I tried to act like I did not care. I told myself he would be back and that I was not going to lose sleep over it. That was a lie. I barely slept. The next morning, his side of the bed was still empty. His toothbrush was still in the bathroom. His shoes were still by the front door. So it was clear he had not packed up and vanished from my life. But he was not home, and that feeling in my chest was getting stronger. I sent another text. "Where are you? Can we talk?" Again, no answer. At that point, I was not feeling sad as much as I was feeling irritated and ignored. I am not good with silence. If there is a problem, I want to talk it out right away, argue if we need to, cry if we have to, and then move on. That is my style. Derek is the opposite. If he is hurt or upset, he pulls back. He takes time. He thinks. He lets things sit for a while before he speaks. That personality difference has always driven me crazy. I told Danny what was happening. She listened and then said, "Maybe you should apologize." Apologize for what I said. Apologize for being honest. Apologize because he overheard something that was not meant for him. That was what went through my head. I did not think I was the one who needed to say sorry. I told her that he should not have been listening in on my private conversation in the first place. Even as I said it, it sounded weak and fake, but I held on to it. I kept trying to convince myself I had not really done anything wrong. By the afternoon, I was more angry than worried. I kept thinking, who does he think he is, disappearing like this and not answering my calls? If he had a problem with what I said, he should have stayed and talked to me about it. He should have faced it, not run away. But somewhere under all of that anger, something else was whispering. Maybe this time is different. Maybe you really went too far. You see, Derek has always been that guy who goes along with what I want. He lets me choose the restaurant, the vacation, the furniture. He listens to me complain and rarely fights back. He lets me take the lead even when I know he disagrees inside. I had gotten used to that. I assumed he would always be there, no matter what I said or did. So the idea that he might be really gone shook me in a way I did not want to admit. The hours passed slowly. I tried calling his mom, hoping she might know where he was. She had not heard from him either. That made my stomach twist in a different way. What if something had happened to him on the road? What if he had been in an accident? I bounced between worrying about his safety and feeling mad that he had put me in this position. But I also reminded myself that Derek was not a reckless person. He was predictable, steady. That was one of the reasons I found him frustrating sometimes, but also why I had felt safe with him. He was not the kind of man who suddenly did something wild and dangerous. By the time it got dark, I was spiraling. I could not decide if I should be angry, scared, hurt, or done with the whole situation. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped, but it was never him. I wanted to send another message, but I did not want to sound desperate. So instead, I just stared at my phone, waiting for a reply that did not come. The next day passed in almost the same way. No calls. No messages. No Derek. I kept telling myself to relax, but every little noise outside made me think he might finally be home. I checked my phone over and over, even though I knew there was nothing new. My irritation started to mix with dread. Who just leaves like that without saying where they are going? I told myself it was immature. I told myself he was the one turning this into something bigger than it needed to be. But another thought kept creeping in. What if he is really done this time? What if I finally pushed him past his limit? Even though I tried to ignore that thought, it kept coming back. Derek is not the kind of man to play games. If he was staying away on purpose, there had to be a serious reason. And maybe that reason was bigger than I wanted to accept. Around noon, Danny called to check on me. Have you heard from him yet, she asked, sounding careful and gentle. No, I snapped. And I added that the whole thing was ridiculous, that he was making this a bigger deal than it needed to be. Linz, she said quietly, you kind of made it a big deal first. I wanted to hang up. I wanted her to take my side completely, to tell me I was right. Instead, she said the thing I did not want to hear. That I had started this, that my words had hit him harder than I understood. You are supposed to be on my side, I told her. But even as I said it, I felt guilty. She was not wrong. I did make it big. I said something cruel about my own husband, and I said it like it was nothing. But in my mind, I still kept telling myself that I had not meant to hurt him. It was just venting. People vent all the time. They say things they do not truly mean. I convinced myself he was just being too sensitive. By the time evening came again, I decided I was done sitting around waiting. If he was not going to come back on his own, I would go look for him. I called his mom again, but she still had not heard from him. I called a couple of his friends. One of them, Mark, sounded honestly surprised when I asked if Derek had been in touch. He even asked me if everything was all right between us. I said yes too quickly and changed the subject. After that, I got in my car and drove around the city for a while, but I did not know where to go. Derek is not a man who goes to bars or disappears into some random place. He is not the type to crash at a friend's house without saying anything. The longer I drove, the more helpless I felt. When I got home, nothing had changed. His toothbrush was still there. His shoes were still by the door. But he was not. The house felt too quiet, too empty. I stood in the kitchen and stared at the front door, hoping it would open. It did not. Eventually, I opened our bank account on my phone. I was not even sure what I was looking for. Maybe I just wanted to feel like I was doing something. That is when I saw it. A charge from a hotel. He was not with his mom. He was not with a friend. He was not out sleeping in his car or doing something crazy. He was at a hotel alone. I did not know how to feel. In one way, I felt relieved. At least he was alive and safe. In another way, I felt angry. He was staying in a hotel, acting like I was some stranger he needed to get away from. I called the hotel right away. I was ready to demand they put him on the phone. But the person at the front desk would not tell me anything. She kept repeating that she could not share information about their guests. I wanted to yell at her, to explain that he was my husband, that I had a right to know. But it did not matter. She would not say anything. I hung up and started to write another text. I know where you are. Can you just stop being childish and come home so we can talk? My hands were shaking as I typed. I stared at the words on the screen. Then I deleted them. I told myself I was not going to beg. If he wanted to hide in some hotel, let him. But my stomach would not calm down. I hated this feeling of not being in control. Derek was supposed to be the steady one. The safe one. The one who forgave me and stayed, no matter what I said or did. That was the role I had given him in my head. So why was everything so different now? The next morning, I woke up in the same empty house. The silence felt heavier than before. I tried to distract myself with work, but my mind kept wandering back to him. Every email felt pointless. Every task felt fake. I kept repeating to myself that it was not that serious, that he just needed some time alone. But the longer he stayed away, the less I believed that. By the afternoon, I could not stand it anymore. I drove to the hotel. I went inside, walked up to the front desk, and tried to stay calm. I told them I was looking for my husband. I said his name. The woman behind the desk gave me the same answer as before. She said she could not confirm or deny anything about any guest. He is my husband, I said, trying not to raise my voice. I just want to talk to him. I got the same polite fake smile and the same useless apology. Feeling defeated and angry, I walked back to my car. I sat there with my hands on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. For the first time in a long time, I felt real fear. What if he was not coming back? What if this was not just a short break for him? What if I had truly pushed him too far this time? Deep down, I knew this was not just about one comment to my sister. This was about all the times I had let my mouth run ahead of my heart. All the moments I had put my feelings above his, then expected him to forgive me and move on. But still, I was not ready to fully own that. I told myself that once I saw him, I would figure it out. I would talk my way out of it like I always did. I have always been good with words. I know how to twist things, how to explain, how to shift blame just enough so I do not look too bad. I thought I could do it again. Later that same evening, I finally heard the front door open. Derek walked in. He did not slam the door or throw his keys like I probably would have done if the roles were reversed. He stepped inside calmly, set his bag near the couch, and looked around for a moment. His expression was almost neutral. Not angry, not sad. Just controlled. That calmness scared me more than yelling would have. I was ready for a fight deep down. Ready to defend myself. Ready to argue. Ready to cry if needed. But he did not storm in like that. He just stood there, looking at me, and then he spoke. "We need to talk," he said. "No kidding," I replied, crossing my arms. My voice came out sharp and defensive, even though I knew I should probably be gentle. I could not help it. Feeling guilty makes me defensive. Admitting I am wrong feels like giving up power, and I hate that feeling. He sat down on the couch and motioned for me to sit too. I stayed where I was, leaning against the counter, acting like I was not that invested. "You going to explain why you vanished for 2 days?" I asked. "You could have at least sent a text." He sighed and rubbed his hands together like he was nervous or trying to warm them up. "I needed space," he said. "I needed time to think, to figure out how to talk to you after what I heard." I rolled my eyes. "Are we really doing this? You overheard one thing." One thing I said in a private conversation with my sister. "You are acting like it is the end of the world." "It was not just one thing," he replied. "You said you would never date me now. That if you could go back, you would not choose me." "Maybe I would not," I fired back before thinking. The words slipped out fast. As soon as they did, I felt a sting of regret, but, like always, I pushed it down and doubled down instead of taking them back. "You have changed, Derek. We both know it. You're not the same guy I married." I paused, trying to find a nicer way to say it, but my pride would not let me soften it. "You are lazier now. You have let yourself go. You do not even try anymore. Can you really blame me for feeling like maybe I would have chosen someone else?" He looked at me then, and I saw real pain in his eyes. Not anger. Not shock. Just hurt. But instead of yelling, he nodded slowly, like he had been expecting me to say it out loud at some point. "So that is it," he said quietly. "You think I am unattractive, and that is why you would not date me now." "Do not twist my words," I snapped. "I did not say I did not want to be with you. I said that if I could go back, I might have picked someone different." "That is not the same thing." "It sounds the same to me," he replied. "And you know what, maybe you are right. I have changed. I got older. I gained some weight. I got comfortable. But that is what happens when you are married. You build a life together. You settle in. At least that is what I thought we were doing." My face felt hot. A mix of embarrassment, guilt, and anger rushed through me. "So now this is my fault," I said. "You think I do not notice how distant you have been? You barely talk to me unless it is about bills or chores. You sit on your phone. You are not exactly making me feel excited about this relationship." "So it is my fault you said what you said?" he asked. "I am the reason you do not respect me enough to keep that kind of conversation away from where I can hear it." I threw my hands up in frustration. "You are twisting everything. I am saying that if you put in more effort, if you worked out a little, if you tried to show interest in me like you used to, maybe I would not feel the way I do." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he stood up slowly and looked me straight in the eye. "I think this says more about you than it does about me," he said. Fear and anger rose together in my chest. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means," he said calmly, "that you do not see what you have. You have someone who has stayed with you through all your impulsive choices, your spending, your mood swings. Someone who never judged you. And instead of appreciating that, you look for ways to tear me down." I opened my mouth to fire back, but he kept going. "I know I am not perfect. I know I have changed. But so have you, Lindsay. And not in a way that makes this marriage easier. You have become someone who avoids responsibility. Someone who lashes out instead of talking. Someone who would rather blame me than look in the mirror." His words cut deep. A part of me knew there was truth in them, but instead of letting that sink in, I pushed back. "Oh, so now you are perfect," I said. "The hero of this marriage. The poor man trying his best while I ruin everything." He shook his head and picked up his bag. "No," he said. "I am not perfect. But at least I am trying to grow. I am done standing here and letting you make me feel like I am never enough. If you cannot see my value anymore, maybe I should not be here." My chest tightened. "What are you saying?" "I am saying," he replied, "that I need more than this. And if you are not willing to work on yourself, then maybe we should not be together. He did not yell. He did not slam the door. He just walked out, leaving me in the middle of the room stunned. I wanted to run after him, to grab his arm, to scream at him, to beg him to stay, but I froze. Over the next few weeks, reality hit me slowly, then all at once. He did not come back. Not even to pick up his mail at first. When we did communicate, it was short and polite. No more deep conversations. No more warmth. Just simple messages. Hope you are alright. I will come by this weekend to grab my things. That was it. He was not cruel, but he was distant. It was like a wall had gone up. That weekend, he came to the house to pack his stuff. I dreaded it, but I also hoped we could fix things when I saw him face to face. When he walked in, he looked different. His posture was straighter. His beard was trimmed. He seemed more put together than I had seen him in a long time. He even smelled like nice cologne. I hated that I noticed how good he looked. It made me feel like I had not only lost him, but also any control I had in this situation. "Hey," I said, standing in the kitchen. "Hey," he answered, giving a small nod. He did not ask how I was. He did not try to joke. He just went straight to the bedroom and started putting his clothes into boxes. I followed him, not sure what to say but unable to stay silent. "Derek, can we talk?" He did not stop folding a shirt as he answered. "About what?" "About us," I said. "About what is happening?" He paused and looked at me. "About us, what is there to say, Lindsay? You made how you feel very clear." "I did not mean it like that," I said quickly. I was upset. I was not thinking. He shook his head. "You were thinking. You just did not think I would hear you." I felt a lump in my throat. "I did not mean to hurt you," I whispered. "But you did," he replied. "And it is not just that one thing. It is the way you talk to me, the way you treat me. Like I am always falling short. Like I am never good enough." I kept trying to ignore it. I kept telling myself you were just stressed, just venting. But the truth is, I have felt unwanted in my own marriage for a long time. His words hit me like a punch. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him he was exaggerating. But deep down, I knew he was not. "So that is it?" I asked. "You are giving up on us." I hated how my voice shook. "I am not giving up," he said calmly. "I am choosing myself. I am done trying to prove I am worth loving. I am done begging for basic respect. I deserve better than this." I stood there, feeling my world crumble. This was not the script in my head. In my mind, he was supposed to break, forgive me, and come back. That was the pattern I was used to. I would push too far, he would bend, and things would go back to normal. This time he was not bending. "I can change," I said softly. "I will do better. I will be better." He sighed and set down the box he was holding. "I hope you do change," he said. "Not for me, but for yourself. But I cannot be the one waiting around for that to happen. I have spent years trying to make you happy, and I am tired of feeling like a disappointment. I deserve someone who sees my worth without needing to lose me first." The tears finally spilled over. I did not hide them. I do not want to lose you," I said. "Please, Derek. We can fix this." He looked at me for a long time. For a moment, I thought he might soften. Maybe say we could try counseling. Maybe say we could start over slowly. But then he shook his head. "I already lost too much of myself trying to fix this," he said quietly. "I cannot do it anymore." He picked up the box and walked out of the room. I heard the door open and close again. I felt like part of my chest broke away and went with him. The days after that were a blur. I tried to distract myself. I worked more. I went out with friends. I laughed at jokes that were not really funny. I tried to make it look like I was fine. But whenever I came home, the reality hit me again. The house was quieter. His chair was empty. His shoes were gone. His jacket was not by the door anymore. I felt the emptiness everywhere. A month later, I saw him again. I walked into a coffee shop, and there he was, sitting at a small table with a woman I did not know. She was pretty in a soft, natural way. They were talking and laughing. He looked relaxed. He looked happy. Happier than I had seen him in a very long time. For a second, I wanted to march over there and remind him that I was still his wife. I wanted to say he had no right to move on yet. But I did not. I just stood there and watched. He glanced up and saw me. His smile faded for a moment, but he did not look mad or guilty. He just gave me a small nod, like he was acknowledging that I was there, part of his past. Then he turned back to the woman and their conversation. It felt like I was already a memory to him. As I walked out of the coffee shop, everything finally sank in. I had spent so much time picking faults in him, pointing at his flaws, complaining about the ways he had changed. I had wanted him to be something more exciting, more impressive, more perfect. I had not seen how much he was actually giving me. His patience, his loyalty, his quiet love, his steady presence. Now he was giving those things to someone else, and she looked like she appreciated them. For the first time in my life, I felt truly, deeply alone. Not because there was nobody around me, but because I finally understood something I had refused to see. It was not Derek who had failed me. It was me.